Welcome to Horsefly Chronicles Radio with Julia and Philip Siracusa. Sponsored by Carnation. Airing live on United Public Radio Network on 105.3 and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. This show's opening has been produced, edited, and narrated by Gwen Luckett at gluckett.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Horsefly Chronicles Radio with myself, Julia Siracusa, and Phil Siracusa. We are broadcasting live from the United Public Radio Network on 105.3 FM and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by Carnation, so we want to thank them for their sponsorship. We love them. You'll have to do a few things in order to participate in chat. Go to our YouTube page, UFO Paranormal Radio. Go to all of the Facebook stations, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, UFO Undercover with Joe Montaldo, News on the Flip Side, Horsefly Chronicles Radio, SoundCloud, Podbean, Twitch, and we're streaming live on ROKU right now, so that is exciting. So, guys, please welcome to the show Ron Morehead. He is an author, producer, a private pilot, a successful businessman, a gifted musician. He's a public speaker. He's a scuba diver. And he has been known for decades for his worldwide research into the Bigfoot Sasquatch. Ron has documented his personal interactions with these giant beings and produced his story on a CD and also in a book, Voices in the Wilderness. So please, let's welcome him to the show.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Well, how do you do? Thank you for welcoming me.
Thank you for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it.
What's the big resume he has? You got a big title there. Scuba diving, pilot.
Yeah. And I had to shorten it down a lot.
Wow.
Well, I'm an old guy now, see, so I've got to be able to do a lot of things. So that's fortunate for me.
Wow, that's great.
Can you take us to the beginning of your story? What drew you into the research of Bigfoot? You've came really close to having like a real complete body of evidence than any researcher in the field of Bigfoot. You've documented so much. How did you get into this? Like, what drew you into it? The big question.
There we go. I had some friends that were hunters in the High Sierra Mountains of California, and it's about 8 miles in the wilderness where their camp was, and 8,400 feet in elevation. So anyway, two of the guys who've been hunting there since 1958 came out with this wild story about these monsters that were up there, and the other guys I knew them, but I wasn't a hunter, but they went up to check it all out, see what was going on. And one of the guys just got freaked out when he heard these things when they came around that night. They had a big footprint. They're big, a huge voice, large aptitude. And he left and wouldn't go back. And the wives were worried because the guys hadn't come out. So they said, you got to go back and see if they're okay. Because they didn't know what they was dealing with, if it was a monster or what. So anyway, he said he'll go back, but he don't want to go alone. So I went with him, and again, I was friends with them all, so that kind of got me involved in the group. And they were okay when we got into camp, but I saw the tracks. I heard some sounds that they'd recorded because they started taking the cassette tape recorders up there. We all did after that, and recording these things when they came around, which multiple encounters with these is pretty rare. And so that's how I got involved, and I started going back as often as I could.
Oh, wow. So you've had personal interactions with them. And this is all in your book.
Yeah, I did. That was in 1974. This started for me in 1971. That's how long I've been doing it. And we've encountering them for these years, recording their vocalizations. In 1972, the winter of 71, 72, we took an investigative reporter in there via Ivan Sanderson, who was a cryptozoologist who's passed away now. But Warren Johnson, who was the leader of our group, he wrote a 23-page letter to him and told him what was going on, that we'd run across a family of these things that come and visit us. Well, this cryptozoologist thought he was getting his leg pulled, because that don't happen. But he sent it off to a man named Peter Byrne, the late Peter Byrne. He just passed away a month ago or so. And he had a Bigfoot Research Center in Oregon, and he asked him what he thought about it. Peter thought the same thing. Oh, this don't happen. If you see Bigfoot over once in your life, it's like getting hit by lightning twice. It's just that rare. But, so he thought, well, I'll send it down to a guy in California who can probably go check it out. He knew Alan Berry, who was an investigative reporter working for a newspaper at the time in Redding, California. Al called us and came down and interviewed us just to see. And unbeknownst to me, they all thought it was a hoax. Even Al thought we were pulling somebody's leg just to get attention. But he went up there. We invited him in the following summer of 72, and he started experiencing the same thing. And he started investigating, looking for who could be pulling this off and how this could happen way back here in the middle of nowhere. And anyway, he got kind of caught up in it too, but he was a master's degree in science. So he said, when the strange stuff started happening, he says, you just don't talk about this stuff. It just, no one's going to listen to you if you talk about this crazy stuff going on up here. Not just the Bigfoot, but other things, which we'll talk about in a few minutes if you want to. But he got taken in by it and wrote a book on it, co-written it with Ann Slate, called Bigfoot. And the first 3 chapters are devoted just to our camp. And he talked about what went on up there and how he tried to find a hoax and couldn't. And anyway, that's kind of how it goes. And I've just been researching it ever since then. All of us were pretty much in a religious type group at that time. Not Alan, but all of us were. And didn't know quite where to put that. And especially this guy that wouldn't go back. He was very religious. He didn't know how that could be. But I'm not a religious person any longer, but I'm spiritual like we all are. Like it or not, we are spiritual beings. Energy can't die. So I reached into quantum physics because that is a science that I think that answers a lot of these paranormal questions that are out there. And that's where I go with it. And that's what I wrote my second book about, Quantum Bigfoot. I've done a lot of background on it, a lot of study, and I got some pretty strong statements that support my position. Plus, the sounds that we recorded have all been scientifically established by Professor Kurland, an electrical engineer at the University of Wyoming. He showed the sounds were not manipulated. They were not played backwards, not speeded up, not manipulated in any way. There's no 60-cycle hum, which would have given it away as a pre-recording, and nothing manipulated about it in his year-long study. And he wrote that out in a book called Man-Like Monsters on Trial, which can still be purchased by the UCP Press. He gave a speech up there in 1978 about this, but it didn't seem to sway a lot of his academic colleagues about, because even though he was a very high-profile professor, most people can't get their head around these things not being an ape in the woods. And we thought that's what they were too. But they're more than just, they may appear that way, but they're more than that. But I got personal interactions with them that I know what they are. They're sentient entities. And I've also got the data that shows where they do have a human component to them. And that's brought about by Dr. Kurland's report. Showed that it represented, compared to the human vocal mechanism, it represented an animal over 8 foot tall. And then you get Scott Nelson, who's a cryptolinguist trained by the Navy as a cryptolinguist, a career in the Navy as a code decipher, not decipher, but transcribes the foreign sounds to see if it's a language or a code or something like that, and for the Navy. And he was trained to see deceptions or anything like that. And he looked at him and he said, no, there's no deception. In fact, they have a language. What we recorded has a language, a sapient language, which means a morphine stream of words like I'm talking now, which make a sentence. Well, other animals have ways of communicating. Everything has a way of communicating, but not with sapient speech like humans have. And Dr. Lieberman at Brown University says only humans have that. So that tells me the three parts right there. You got Curlin, Scott Nelson, Dr. Lieberman. All three of those together tell me they have to have a human component, or we have a Bigfoot component. They're not sure. But there's something in there in what we encountered up there that has human DNA in it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, do you think that they are self-aware, and have like reasoning abilities? Like, that's kind of like a question.
Well, it's like I just answered that in a way, but
You did,
yes,
yeah.
absolutely they are. At least what we encounter, they are. Now, I got to tell you, I don't believe for an instant they're all the same. I believe there's several different types of aliens that visit this planet. I think they mess with the genome of different species on this planet. They've hybridized a lot of things here, and these things may be a hybridization of an alien interference into the genome of a primate. And they've been given the attribute that we have. I think they were here before humans, before Homo sapiens. I believe they were here. And history of giants go back a long, long way. And anyway, I've researched that quite a bit. I've researched it from ancient texts and from all the way back into the cuneiform text from the Anunnaki onto our current Bible. I was raised, like I say, religiously, but I know a lot of scriptures in the Bible, and I always try to balance that with what was going on with us up there. And a lot of people just don't do that. They don't try to see outside their paradigm, which is fixed. We're all conditioned to believe a certain way. And when you get out of that box that we're conditioned at, it's just strange for you. Your brain doesn't want to, it has to really adapt to that outside the box stuff because it hasn't been taught that. So this is what I do when I on these programs like this, is try to get people to understand that you have to have an open mind and get out of that fixed box that we've been trained in. We've all been trained a certain way, religiously or some way over here by something. And but they're not just an ape in the woods. I don't think any of them are. I think they have everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, according to Tesla, according to quantum physics. So if they can find the frequency, well, anyway, it gets deep into that stuff. And I say deep because I know that energy and matter are interchangeable, and we are all at the most minute level, energy vibrating at a frequency. Energy, frequency, and vibration. That's just a fact. So if you can find the frequency of anything, you can change its matter. And that's what Einstein said too. And Dr. Paul Dirac got the Nobel Prize in 1933 for antimatter. And that's the direct change of energy and matter. And there's two parts to everything. And that was confirmed by the Hadron Collider in Switzerland in 2012, when a particle hit the end of the trip and turned into energy. And they can see it. You can see matter, but you can't see energy unless you got some special thing about your eyes. So that happened. That was a big deal in 2012. Wow. People haven't really caught on to how energy and matter are transferable, and that's just the way it is. And if these beings we call Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever, have the ability to reach the frequency that can change their matter into energy, that would show how they disappear. It also tell us where ghosts go and stuff like that, because all our matter is going to change into energy someday. It can't die. It's our consciousness, our etherical being, which are two parts to us: our physical, biological body, and then that body. So once this body passes on, that one goes out into the universe, does something else. Einstein wouldn't even guess at that. And I'm talking too much. I'll leave it open for questions.
No. Phil, what do you think of this? Tell us.
It's very interesting. Everything he's saying is interesting. I do agree with him. And then the skeptical people would say, well, how come the government doesn't come forward and say that Bigfoot does exist, an alien does exist? And why does society narrow everybody in a box of religion and what you should believe according to what faith you are? And the thing is, I bring that up because you're right. You're right. We're boxed in unless you get out of the box and you look to see what else is going on. And you said about giants back in the day, and I agree with that as well. So why is everything hush hush with the government, with the news? Why?
Because
Are they dumb? Do they know?
Oh, they know. No, they'll only give us what they think they can, what we can handle. They have to
Ah,
control the narrative. They have to control the narrative, just like Roswell crash. They have to control that. That's why it was a weather balloon for so long. Now it's a spaceship, right, with bodies on board. There are UFOs that come out with that because too many people are seeing them, too many people are reporting them, and they're not all back and engineered by us. We got those ships by another way. I mean, we got access to back engineering. And I think the government, there's two parts to our government. There's the part that we vote in that know that are there that we think is in charge of everything. And there's the underground government, which my wife said, don't talk about that. We had some helicopters. I just talked about this earlier today, and some helicopters flew over real low, which happened to us before, but they're not coming after me. I mean, I'm little peanuts here compared to what I think. But I want my word to get out because I've experienced this stuff, and I think there's a good reason. The Bigfoot, they know about Bigfoot. I'm sure they do. They are sentient beings, but they can't let the word out what they are. Just how they got here is going to destroy the narrative that they've taught for years and years. History books have to be rewritten. Religions will be upset.
Yeah.
It just doesn't fit. It does, though, if you go way back into the cuneiform, which is the oldest written language we know of, 3400 BC, given to the Sumerians by a sky people, which was the Anunnaki. And if you start deciphering that and get into it, which it's been done now in the early 1900s, 1800s, something like that, and they've discovered that these people used to live a lot longer. There's a king's list out there where some kings reigned for thousands of years. And they were called the Anunnaki. If you get into the biblical text of the Genesis, where it talks about the fallen ones influencing mankind, that fits right in with that text there of the Anunnaki, because they influenced mankind. Sumerians start off with the Sumerians, and influenced the whole Mesopotamia area. But I'm off the subject a little bit, but it's
No.
the government has to control the narrative on everything. If they can't understand it and can't explain it, or if it's too early for us to accept it,
Yeah.
they will make fun of it or hide it some way.
Like everything else.
So that's every government around the world
Yeah.
that hides it, every single government, because we don't get along with half the governments around the world. So
Yeah.
every government's on the same page of hiding all this?
I think every government is in control of the powers that are in charge. This has been going on for eons, not just the government now, but for eons. Whoever's in charge is going to control the narrative, and that goes all the way back. I mean, you get to Saint Constantine, in 326, when he decided the Nicene Creed for the what religion should be followed. 4 books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, were the ones canonized there. It wasn't until later on when somebody else was in power and they decided to let the other books in, and King James in 1611 got the Bible that we have now. And I don't try to be a Bible scholar, but I know a little bit about that stuff, and they got that's the powers that be, because you get into the cuneiform text, and I keep going back to that because it's so important that we understand what really has taken place with all these translations throughout the eons. And in fact, you get into the cuneiform text, you find the word Elohim, Elohim, is the word they use for God when it's translated. The word God is not in there anywhere. The powerful ones from the sky, the shiny ones, giants, they were called the Elohim, and they were mentioned so far 2,500 times. Not one time was the word God mentioned, and every time it's mentioned, it's in the plural form. Now, you get into Genesis, and it says, let us make man in our image. Okay? In my opinion, they're 9th dimensional beings. We live in a 3rd dimensional environment here. We're here to experience things and just respond to things properly so we can get out of this 3rd dimension. So when we go out of this 3rd dimensional environment, we'll be ready for something else.
Ah. Yeah.
Does Scientology fit into any of this?
I don't really understand Scientology. I mean, I understand what it is, but I have never researched Scientology. It might, I don't know. I know this, we are connected, all of us are connected. And I get into the pineal gland, how it has to connect to the heart, how the heart has to be in coherence with the brain, how those three things have to work together. The pineal gland is receptor for information from the universe. And that's pretty much the eye of Horus, the third eye. It's all it's how you get information. It's what they call a gut feeling. Sometimes you get a gut feeling that you should do that, but your brain says this because it's been conditioned to these things, Your brain talks you out of how your heart. That's why it's important to meditate, balance your chakras, and get your heart and your brain in coherence so it's balanced, all ready to receive the information. And you might make a lot of money if you go over here to the right, but your heart says, go help this old lady across the street. So that's what you do. You follow your heart. And I think that's critically important.
Yeah.
I got to jump in there for a second because I'm thinking about something. Again, I do believe what you're saying, and I agree with you. But now I go back and forth. I play what the skeptics would say. And the skeptics would say, okay, if what you're saying is true, verbatim, that there's an underground government, then why do aliens, Bigfoot, why do these things even care not to show themselves on the White House lawn and Times Square and come down with a UFO? Why?
First of all, we are human beings. We've been given dominion on this planet, and this planet belongs to us to take care of. They're not supposed to interfere with our karma. We're here to learn, and they are here. They're here now, aliens are. And I think the black government, underground government, whatever you want to call it, are in communication with them. I think they know about them. In fact, I'm quite positive they do. And they won't interfere with us until it just gets right on the edge of being too late and we don't blow the planet up, because they want the planet. This planet's a jewel of the solar system. I mean, it's got everything the other planets don't have. It's beautiful, and we're just screwing it up. And we're in war. We're a warring species. We just fight, like the war is going on right now, and it's a shame. It's just a shame that we have to do this to our planet. And it goes on and on, but it's not love and compassion, and that's what I preach on. I say preach. I'm not a preacher, but I guess in a way I am. But I think everybody has to respond to things with love and compassion. And if you do, don't be a victim of any circumstance, because every circumstance is here for you to learn. If you don't, I tell my grandkids, I said, when you play football, there's no winner or loser. You either win or you learn something. There's no loser. There's no loser in life. You either win or you learn something. You're always learning. And the more you can learn, the more you can respond to all your experiences without being a victim to it, and learn to respond with love and compassion, you're going to be on the bright side of things, and you're going to be healthy. I mean, you're just going to, everything's
Yeah, I agree with you to a certain extent, and I'll tell you why. Because, well, first of all governments are corrupt, in my opinion, okay? I'm 56 years old. I'm around long enough to know that every government is corrupt. They're liars, they're greed, and they're pigs, okay? That's number one. And number two is they create war because war creates money. Bang. War creates money. They don't care about life. They don't care about me or you. We're just a number. We're a puppet in society. We're replaceable by other people. So they don't care about us. However, if there is a such thing as a higher intelligent being like aliens and our planet, which is being destroyed as we see it unfold in front of our very eyes, why are they not intervening now? Why do so many people have to die now? Now, not tomorrow, now. And again, I do believe what you're saying, but I got to play both sides here, because people are going to message me after the show and say, well, why do people have to die now in other countries? Why? What's the reason for that?
Dying's not a big thing. It's living that we got to think about. I'm not afraid to die. I'm not, because I know what happens, I think, to our spiritual being. We're going to keep
Right.
living and go to something else. So it doesn't bother me, and it doesn't bother other entities. We have passion with our humanoid beings. We have something aliens don't really have, and that's the feelings and understanding on. And we're here to learn that stuff. And these things are not supposed to interfere with that. It goes against a mandate of some type. And if they did, well, they did with us up at that camp. I got to tell you, they interfered with us. But why? I never have found out why, unless it's so I could be on your program tonight. Maybe. Maybe there's somebody out there that will hear this and it'll ring true to them, and it'll make something better. Because at my age, I'm in my 80s now. I don't care if anybody believes me or not. I'm just saying what I've came up with in 50 years of research is what I'm saying now. And I think the answer to a lot of stuff that's went on with us up there is based in quantum physics. And these things, there's stuff like that all the way from the atom to the cosmos is based in quantum physics, according to Dr. Christopher Brer at West Texas A&M. And if you think about that, we have to live in a three-dimensional environment, which is our Newtonian physics laws. Everything's something you can touch, feel, measurable, predictable, all that. Quantum physics is not that way. If you don't believe it, try to imagine the end of the universe. How do you do that? You can't. In fact, when I brought that up to some scientists I'm involved with, they kicked me out of the club, I think. You can't explain some of this stuff, but it's there. It's there mathematically. Other dimensions are out there mathematically. We only live in three, but there's all these others. The different aliens are in different densities out there. And anyway, I go with that, and that's what brought me, I think, to where I'm at today. Did I answer that question? Why don't they interfere now? Because they're not supposed to. We're supposed to respond to all this stuff with our own karma, our own balancing technique to get ourselves right. And where we're safe,
which we can't. We can't. And you know why we can't? You know why? You said that we're supposed to have, for example, a higher consciousness of love, and we're in a I guess a 3-dimension type of way. But you take an innocent child, and that innocent child is killed by war.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that child doesn't have any knowledge of what's going on. They don't know anything. But yet, what controls everything to create these wars kill innocent people. Now, if a child doesn't have anything to do with this and any knowledge, where's the fairness of the balance sheet? Or is it that because your belief is, well, you said you're not afraid of death, correct?
Correct.
So then the child should not be afraid of death, and no one should be afraid of death.
Correct. It's our fear of the unknown that we fear, and fear is your enemy. I used to ask the same questions you're asking right now. How could a 5-year-old die, or somebody come back for a 19-year-old without legs, or something like that? Well, how is that fair? Well, it's not fair from our perspective, but they had to respond to that. The child that died at 5, maybe his parents had to respond to something. But death just means another place. You're going to go somewhere else. We'll have to answer to these things in one lifetime or another. I believe in multiple embodiments, and that's against a lot of religions, but it also goes along with a lot of religions. We're here to learn, and if we don't learn in this lifetime, you're going to be put back another lifetime to try to learn it there, or another planet to try to learn there. It's in a 3-dimensional.
I better learn a lot, because I do not want to come back here. Please teach me everything.
Well, what's your thoughts on heaven and hell? Or you don't have any thoughts on that?
Me?
Yes.
Well, heaven is just another dimension. And hell, I don't agree with, to be honest with you. Just because hell is not ever getting to the right dimension that you're supposed to. We can pass from our third dimension is the fourth dimension of time, and that's where a lot of people see ghosts and stuff like that in their alpha state of awareness, usually at nighttime when the density of the Earth is dropped down in its vibrational frequency, and our vibrational frequency also goes down at night. And I think these things, a lot of people will see the energy of ghosts at night, and that's if the vibration's right and the temperature's right. That's how I think. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's how I think some people are able to see into the fourth dimension of time. But we go on from there. I think most aliens are in the fifth and sixth dimension. I think the Anunnaki were the ninth dimensional beings. They were the premier entities, and that's where we're supposed to be headed for. The AI can stop that if it does. It won't stop the ones who believe in it, because what's going to happen is AI, artificial intelligence, what I'm talking about there. It's going to take over a lot of stuff. That could be the very end right there. I'd say the very end.
I agree.
It could be what brings us to the point of understanding that, wow, it's time for this world to change, And AI, if you accept it and take another embodiment where they can transfer your consciousness into a indestructible body, you kind of want that, but you can only go into the fifth or sixth dimension at that point. If we're made as humans to go as humans through this environment to get to the ninth dimension, like our maker. Our maker are the Anunnaki. There's good Anunnakis too. You know what I'm saying when I say Anunnaki, don't you? Have you ever looked into the Anunnaki? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I heard about it. I don't know much about it.
Well, I might be getting ahead of everything here, but they were the powerful ones from the sky, written about, and it's been kept out of a lot of our Bible because people can't handle that. It used to be burnt to the stake if they thought well, Galileo, he was on house arrest when he said the Earth was round. So anyway, I'm just saying, governments don't want you to talk about that stuff if they can't control it. Mm-hmm. And the Anunnaki are the beings that started everything. You heard of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, you haven't maybe. There's things that I've been down to South America a couple of times and seen some artifacts down there, which is just out of human capability to do. I've seen the remains of alien, half alien beings. I've been in Nepal, Russia, Siberia. I've looked at all this stuff, trying to find a common denominator and how it relates maybe to Bigfoot. Well, Bigfoot is just a catalyst to get me to where I'm at today, I think. I encountered them, and it's brought me to understanding how much more there is for us to understand.
Yeah.
And Anunnaki are the ones who started creation.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a creator of a god. It was the Anunnaki.
The gods.
They're gods.
They're gods, yeah. Because they were powerful.
Yeah, they're powerful. I get it. But what someone's going to say is, well, everything started from something, correct? Everything?
Everybody's what?
Everything started from something. So if the Anunnaki had gods that created everything, where the Anunnakis come from? Who are their gods?
That's the best question of the night, right there. Yeah, where did God come from? Where did he come from? I mean, it's a universal consciousness, so
yeah.
Who knows? Maybe. Yeah. Who knows? I don't think it's a he. I think it's a group of consciousness, just a ball of consciousness that we're all really part of. We just have to learn how to connect with it and receive from it. So we know things. But I don't know that answer where God came from. Boy, if I knew that answer,
I feel like everything just ends up with so many more questions.
Well, you go down a rabbit hole of questions, and
I love your questions, though. I love your
yeah,
questions.
you know what? Look, I'm going to get these questions later when the show's over on my messenger, because that's what happens. The skeptics come out, and I do agree with you. But in my belief, I do not disrespect anyone's religion. I do not follow a religion because I don't personally believe in a specific religion, knowing what I know. And I will say that I believe that we're a form of collective consciousness, that the body you're in is just a shell. It's a leased vehicle, and you got to give it back, and then you leave. Therefore, the existence of everything never did exist. It only exists because you made it exist. You materialized everything for your form of consciousness. That's my belief. So you don't even exist right now, and neither do I.
No.
I'm making you exist, and you're making me exist through a form of collectivity of consciousness. That's my belief as a paranormal investigator. And I disregard a lot of religions out there because a lot of religions raise red flags of my belief through my experiences that they don't talk about.
Well, quantum physics says nothing's real until it's observed. There you go. We're observing each other now, so it's making it real. What goes first? Our thoughts? Our thoughts go first. They go faster than light. And we receive everything via light, and light's frequency, which is 430 to 770 terahertz. That's our frequency, all we can see. Outside of that, all these other frequencies are there, and you don't see them. But yeah, I like your comments. I like your thoughts. They're perfect, really, in my opinion.
Phil has really good questions.
Yeah, it was a good. You asked some good questions. I like your skeptical look. I like that.
I play two sides of the fence because people want to know not just the one side, and I do agree with you. Everything you're saying makes total sense to me. And then comes out the double skeptic of, well, if there's not a God and there's no hell, but there's demons, why do people get possessed, and why does the Catholic religion and certain priests help remove possessed people from these entities? You know, there goes is it a form of psychosomatic consciousness that we think we're possessed by the devil? Or is it a reality?
It's energy. You create your own demons, I think. You know, I know people that just think about this stuff all the time, and they all see it all the time. They all have bad things happening to them all the time. But you know, if you keep your energy positive, and I'm a proponent of that. Look on the bright side of things, no matter what is happening. See the good in it, and try to find out. You know, we're going to see what light lets us see, and God is light. And there you go, right there. And that's 1 John 1:5. So God is love, and we got to express ourselves with love. And I think that's just the key. And all these other answers that you got, questions that you got, will be answered in this life or the next one. You'll know.
Yeah, you know, it's sad because I think that because societies are culturalized into what they have to believe according to where you live. I mean, look, you go to some foreign countries, it's pathetically sad and stupid that you have to follow a one leader dictator who's corrupt and worship that dictator like he is your God. You know, I mean, this is what happens in the world, is that people get brainwashed off of other imbeciles out there. They're forced to be brainwashed, because if they're not, they're probably executed. And that's not fair. It's not fair at all. But that's the world we live in. Unfortunately, you know, you try to make everything positive, and I get that. I understand where you're going with that. But look, some countries, you don't have that freedom to even think. You think one way, and it's their way, the dictator's way, and you're forbidden to think another way. And you take away that human spirit of a person, right? That happiness, that I want to live and be free. You take that away, and that's what's wrong. And I believe, in my opinion, the entire globe needs a reset button hit. A reset button. Because humanity needs a wake-up call. Because too many, in my opinion, and look, you're a lot older than me, and you have a lot of knowledge and wisdom. In my opinion, people should not have to suffer the way they are because of politics and the way the world is being ran by a bunch of morons. I think that if you hit that reset button and we all start off clean again, let's get back to the basics, because the basics and the fundamental things of life are the most appreciative things in life. There should not be a world leader or these dictators or these governments that force people into genocide and disease and all these sickness. As we went through a few years ago, governments have a lot of play in everything that happens to us.
I don't think sometimes we think a little small. Our lives have been here for a long time in different embodiments. That's my thoughts. I think we've learned from each of them to do something different the next time around. We have a choice once you're out of here. We all have free choices. Mm-hmm. All entities in the heavens have free choices. Everything has a free choice. So when you get out of this embodiment, you have a choice. You want to come back and make things right, or you want to come back and just try to live it again and see what you do. But everybody's trying to climb a ladder of success around here. Mm-hmm. And it's all about money and getting ahead and this, that, and the other. And I used to be one of those guys, I did quite well with everything. And but it doesn't matter to me anymore. Really, I think the most important thing is what we're talking about right now for people to get understand who they are as a human being made in an image of a ninth dimensional entity, and entities, I should say. And it's hard for people to understand that just because the word God from Elohim in the cuneiform text was translated as singular just for our reading benefit. And because it's easier just to say, well, there's one entity out there herding sheep or something, it's going to judge you when you get out of here. Well, I don't believe that. I think we're made to be part of this universal consciousness, to reign, even the good book says, reign as kings and queens. We're going to be like that. Except we will have something that so many entities, aliens don't have, and that's compassion. And we'll learn how to be that way throughout the universe and try to help with other planets that are experiencing what this planet's experiencing. Maybe. It's all a guesswork here. It's fun to do that, though.
Yeah. You definitely have a very positive attitude, and we appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I like Philip. I like your skepticism there. Because you got to play both sides. I did that for a long time. I get questions, but I love the other mind that comes in and challenges me on stuff because I think I know what happens. But I've been doing this for 50 some odd years now, and I've learned a lot. I've been into all over the world really, and I have seen what other people live like and how bad they have life. I was in Kathmandu years back, and these people just live in, I was going to say, they make $1 a day working. They live like poverty. Nobody lives like that over here. Nobody. And I said, God, such a shame. He looked at me and said, why would you say that? They don't know any different.
They don't know any different.
They don't know any different. We know different. We're very fortunate to be in this country. Really, as bad as it is, and you're right, every government in the world is corrupt. It's open in a lot of governments. It's just open, corrupt. If you're elected into an official position, you're going to get bribes.
Yeah.
Go a certain way. Yeah. That's just the way it is. And that's open in other countries, where in this one, it's all secret, they're all getting their kickback some way. But yeah, it's corrupt, but it's all going to get reset. Yeah. And I don't think it's going to be very much longer, because you're going to see more aliens coming around. They're going to start being seen more often, but they're not going to interfere with your eyes. Where you see it happen, but they're going to interfere. They're going to stop the bomb from going off or something like that. Or they're going to say, well, the hell with mankind. Let's let them go. Let them start over again. Because it's happened before and it'll happen again.
It's just sad that, and what I see, and again, you've seen a lot more than me. I haven't been to other countries like you have. But humanity should not have to suffer the way they do,
But that's a small look. If you think of multiple embodiments that somebody's had, what is suffering except just a drop in the bucket on this planet's timeline? I interrupted you, but it's really nothing. Our life seems like a long time here. I've been here 80 some odd years. it doesn't. It goes just like that. I can remember when I was just a little kid. You know,
Yeah.
I used to jump out of trees and everything until I broke all the Christmas presents.
Yeah. It
You
does,
know,
and, it does go by
a
really
joke.
fast. It's, I mean,
Huh?
it's funny.
Christmas
It
tree,
goes,
get it? Yeah, never
it
mind.
goes it goes by fast. Everything, everything just it does fly by. So I can definitely relate to that.
Well, it gives us something to look forward to. I think. Uh, I look forward to it. I mean, I do. I'm not trying to bump myself or nothing like that, but I'm looking forward to being somewhere else doing something better.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. I
that's
think we
what I
all
look
are in
for.
our
And
own way. We all are looking forward just something different. What's there? What's up there? What like no, we won't know until we're there. Let's just put it that way.
that's right.
Like we could, gather all our evidence and understand everything that we've learned, but the truth is we really won't know until we experience it ourselves. And then we're gonna be like, wow, so this is
Well, let me jump into that because now you have people had near-death experiences who've clinically died, and just like the movie that just came out, and these are reputable people, doctors, and they say, look, we didn't believe in it. We're atheists, but there is an afterlife. But you know where the red flag comes again is the red flag is the afterlife of what they see on the other side because of their religious beliefs, because they see Jesus and they see God.
Hmm. Yeah,
Having a conversation like this, I raise a lot of questions on religion. So is it what one person or what they are taught to believe is where they think they're going and how they see things
good
when
question.
they have these near-death experiences?
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I had one. I mean, I had a tumor removed off my brain a few years back, and they couldn't bring me out of the anesthesia, so I was under
Oh,
for several hours, and I seen white light, but my wife and my son were right there, and they were working on me, I guess, because I didn't see Jesus or anything like that. I just seen a big white something right in front of me that I was heading for. And it wasn't bothering me at all to go that way, but something was pulling me back. Like there was more for me to do. And so I came back, and this
wow.
is what I'm doing. I've been doing this ever since because I do believe that, well, obviously, I believe that there's more going on. And that's also physics. There is more going on. And, we're pretty small minded to think we're the only possibly intelligent species on this universe, in this universe. There's so many more. And I mean, we're talking about innumerable amounts of aliens and things going on different planets. You can't even count the planets. Every time we get a big telescope,
Mhm.
you see more of them.
Yeah.
Just goes on and on. And tell me how far it is to the end of the universe. That was my basic question. It got me started. And the anomalies that were happening to us up there, that got me out of the box, out of the religious box, because you can't explain it with Newtonian physics. And we hear sounds that didn't exist. I mean, like a camp being tore apart, and you look out later on, nothing's disturbed. You heard of horses coming down at you in the daytime. There's no horses there. I saw a
Hmm.
UFO there once. So there's anomalies. I mean, all over the place. David Pilates, who I took up there as a filmer, and he filmed the hunted, missing 411, the hunted. And in that DVD, I've got about 15 minutes where he interviewed me up at our camp. He's the only one I ever took up there, and he depicted a light anomaly that my wife and I saw going by our tent we had set up. The camp had been torn apart the year before, and uh, what do you do with that? It's definitely controlled. It's a light, 3 or 4 foot long, probably more like 4 foot long, just glowing, going right through the trees. Right, just worked its way down the ridge. Watched as long as we could. But what do you do with that? I mean, it's a form of energy, and I think everything is not. I think everything is energy.
Okay.
And if Bigfoot can manipulate his matter into energy, which according to physics that can happen, if he can do that through vibrational frequency, he can change his matter into energy and maybe be a ball of light or a bolt of light or something. I don't know. It's just they are associated together, and UFOs and Bigfoot associated together. It's like there's something going on with that relationship.
Yeah, I believe that there's some kind of connection there.
Hmm. I believe so.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
Give me another question, Philip. I like this.
Well, it's a fascinating topic. Now, look, I'm a hardcore skeptic, all right? I'm a New Yorker, and I don't see it, I don't believe it. I don't care who you are. But everything you're saying, I do agree with because of my knowledge of what I've been dealing with. And I will also say that ghosts do exist. Now, it may not be the way we see it through a visual or audio, we're getting it through an audio, but there is an intelligence that I was able to make communication with a few times and dealing with these things that they appear as a shadow person. They are far more advanced than we can even think.
Right.
So it kind of tells me that we're not alone. And what you're saying now on the theory of, do I believe in Bigfoot personally? I do, but I don't believe it's the way we think it is. It's somehow the way you're describing it. Aliens, again, it's true, right? Our government, our selfish government, and all the other corrupt governments, they're never going to come forward and clean. They're going to fight and try to still keep it hush hush, And the paid news media, I happen to know a couple of reporters on the big stations, and they told me verbatim, we can only say what we're allowed to say, period. So,
Yeah.
and I know that because I know them. Okay. Um, there's somehow multiple dimensions of time and frequency, like you described, where these entities or beings or these creatures can actually come through in some type of a format, and we pick them up. And having said that, one place I'd love to see you go to, if it is on your bucket list, is Skinwalker Ranch.
Mhm.
Mm.
I got invited there one time, but I didn't go. I've flown over it in my plane, a couple times, but I've never been there in person. But yeah, I think they were one note behind the music for a while there because they wouldn't get into quantum physics. But that's what's gonna answer their questions if they just ball of light that's floating around, the things they're seeing, all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
Skinwalker Ranch got quite a history, and the wolf that they supposedly shot there a long time ago, that just ran off after you read this book I sort of know the story, and it wouldn't die. And if these things can change their matter into energy, what's to say they couldn't change it into a form of a wolf? Or if they're
Mm.
bad ones, because there are bad, I mean, entities out there. And if they
Yeah.
get into a person, or if a person allows it, like
Yes.
if you allow it, it can come into you and take over you. And
If you allow it, yeah.
I think you have to allow it, or be so dense it just floats right through. I don't know, but I think we have choices. We can just say no, you're not gonna come into me. But
Well,
yeah,
what
there are
about,
negative entities. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. But what about, like, say, a child that gets possessed? I mean, would you say that they allowed it? And that's like the part where I get lost.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
It may be a hole in my bucket right there.
I mean,
No, I think maybe they were alien hybrid to start with. I mean, there's a lot of people that you're looking at today that I think are probably alien hybrids, and they're not totally human. And maybe that was what was going on with that child. Maybe it got possessed because it could be possessed by a frequency from an alien. And a lot of stuff like that going on, abductions and things like that. And I think there's been a hybridization program going on this planet for eons. Eons.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
we're hybrids, really want to get into it.
We're the others.
Well, something made us what we are with our consciousness and made us in that image. If I could say anything else, it's about how important it is to realize who you are as a human being on this planet to experience things.
I agree. Because you came into this world with nothing and you're going to leave with nothing. And every materialistic thing, your house, your car, your money, nothing is yours. You think it's yours, but you're leaving the way you came into this world with nothing. Therefore, and that's a fact. Therefore, everybody you know and everything you think and everything you see, you're leaving with nothing. So appreciate, validate, love, trust, and be the person you want to be, because the only experience you're going to leave with is yourself. At the end of the day, every materialistic thing, everybody you know, did not exist. You made it exist.
That's right.
And that, my friends, is a fact.
Very good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to thank, we have a couple people in chat, Jordan and Stone. So they just said hello. No questions, but thank you for joining and listening in chat tonight.
So where can people find you and all that good stuff? Like, because you are an abundance of knowledge, you have a lot of wisdom. So where can people find you? And when can you pick me up with your plane and take me away to somewhere far away?
Wait, I'm going to have his bags packed. So when can you come?
Yeah, you can start with the plane first.
Well, actually, I sold my planes. I don't fly right now.
Oh, man.
There goes that, Julie. Now you're stuck with me.
I didn't think I needed them anymore, but since I've been flying commercially all this summer, all these conventions and things, I wish I had it now. I'd have sold it.
Me too.
I had two of them. I'm at ronmorehead.com, and that's my website, and both my books, Voices in Wilderness, which comes with a download of sounds when I get to the context of Sense My Chronicle. Get to the context of the sounds, you can hear the sound I'm talking about if you download the link. And then I got Quantum Bigfoot, is the other book in there. And you can order both those online, the paperbacks or the downloads, either one. And I got 2 CDs with the sounds on them both. One narrated by Jonathan Frakes from Star Trek Next Generation, and the other one's narrated by myself. They're both about 40 minutes long. They got integrated sounds within them. So it's my story. I'm sticking to it.
And I have to say, your books have amazing reviews, so they are wonderful books. Wonderful.
Thank you. I got another one. I got another one coming out soon.
Oh wow! Well, we look forward to that.
Huh?
We look forward to that.
Oh yeah, me too. I've been working on it a long time. It takes quite a bit to write some of this stuff because people are reading it, and you want to be sure about everything. So I'm trying to be sure about everything.
Absolutely. It's not easy writing a book. It's very, very.
Well, my first book, The Voices in Wilderness, was easy. It was just my story. Pretty easy to write. I worked that out pretty quick. But my second book, Quantum Bigfoot, took me a couple, 3 years to write.
Oh, wow.
I've been working on this one for over a year. So I step away from it and then come back to it, because sometimes you get so far in it you don't see the trees,
Yeah.
And but I can't get regular professors or academia to check into my stuff because it's outside of their parameters of where they've been conditioned for.
Okay.
And I know them personally, and a lot of them, and they just can't talk about it. They go to church on Sunday, believe in God, but they can't get into quantum physics.
Yeah.
That makes no sense at all to me.
Crazy how that works, isn't it? Oh man, that is a whole nother show right there. But thank you so much for coming on tonight. This was a really good show. It's full of knowledge. You are a really smart guy. We really appreciate you coming on. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Phil has great questions. I love his questions.
Yeah, thank you, Philip. I appreciate the challenges there.
Oh, thank you. Very nice to meet you. And this is a great show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have a special thank you to Carnation for fully sponsoring the show from day one. We love them. Thank you. And please join us next Monday night on the United Public Radio Network on 105.3 and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. And don't forget, tonight we are streaming live from Roku as well. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And thank you guys for having me. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
Have an amazing night. Thank you. Good night.